There you are.
Okay, and now you want to
What do I want to do?
share your screen? Screen.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, let's
Again.
again. Hooray! Oh gosh, isn't it great to have an IT person here? If I was doing this at home, I'd be in strife. Okay, my name is Bruce, as Maeve has said, and this was a job I did. I was given in 2021 to fit a child's seat, a car seat initially, to someone's manual wheelchair, a lightweight wheelchair. I had two jobs. One of them was to build a cot that, in this case, Megan, who's the client, could wheel underneath. Megan is paraplegic, but she is a very outgoing person. She has a ski attachment that she puts underneath her. She has a special seat and two little outriggers, and she goes skiing at Mount Buller, even though she's paraplegic. She also goes bushwalking, and I'll show you how she does that. But in this case, I built the external frame for the cot, put a couple of sliding doors on the front so that Megan could wheel underneath it. And when the doors are closed, they're latched into place so that their baby, Sophie, can't open the doors, the gates. Anyway, making the cot was the easy part. The second part was getting a car seat that could be attached to Megan's wheelchair. And in my experience of car seats, they're very awkward, they're heavy, they're difficult to attach to a car seat belt. And getting them in and out of a car is a real hassle. So I did some research online and talked about these options with Megan. Some of them are available commercially, but in every case, Megan didn't like the extra bits and pieces. She wanted something very, very simple. And of course, there are still difficulties with these designs because they do take away a lot of the mobility and add an awful lot of extra bits and pieces. So this was one design that I found online, but I was concerned that the center of gravity in this case would alter the wheelchair considerably for going downhill. And I was a bit concerned that there'd be a stability problem. And although Dad looks very happy with his design, I could see problems with it. So the design issues that I've considered to be important, mostly important, is safety of the child. Because although we're doing this for Megan's sake, we want to make sure that Sophie, their little baby, is safe. I didn't want to have a tipping accident. We needed to prevent a fall during the transfer. The seat had to be lightweight, and any changes of gravity had to be taken into account for the stability of the wheelchair. So I selected this little bicycle seat, which is made by Thule, and it clamps onto the front stem of the handlebars of a bicycle. So you can imagine it's lightweight. It's not even 2 kilograms in weight, but it has seat belts. It comes with footrests, and it has a very simple action for fitting it to the bicycle. It will carry up to 15 kilograms, which from my human scale charts is the weight of an infant at about 3 years. So I figured it would be good for Sophie for the first 3 years of her life. That's the underside of it. And you can see on the bottom of the slide there's a clamp that fits around the support stem of the handlebars. And then the tongue at the end of that clamp fits into a corresponding slot in the child seat. There's even a padlock. You can key the thing together if you're worried about someone stealing it. I don't think Megan was worried about that. But all I had to do really was find a way of fitting the clamp at the bottom of the screen onto the wheelchair. What I hadn't realised is Megan already had this device called a freewheel. And people who are familiar with wheelchairs probably know all about this. This little attachment converts a four-wheeled manual wheelchair into a three-wheeler, but it gives the wheelchair much more mobility over rough surfaces. It gives you a pneumatic tyre at the front. It's about a 30 centimetre diameter. And the peculiar thing about the freewheel is the fork at the front is on an incline of about 10 degrees. And initially, when you clamp it to the foot plate of the wheelchair, the wheel is spun around 180 degrees and it's on the horizontal. When you then rotate that freewheel inwards, where it is now, it elevates the front of the wheelchair and the two little wheels come off the ground, about 2 inches. So you end up with something like this. And you can see from the pictures that the little wheels are now elevated and you have 3 pumped up tyres to take you over rough terrain. So Megan had 2 of these freewheels, an old one with a flat tyre that I took home, and the one that she currently used around Mount Buller where she lives. So she lives up in the country area. I took the old one home with me and set it up in the workshop. Oh, just before I go, this just shows you another attachment to the freewheel for luggage. And that freewheel luggage carrier will take over 100 kilograms of load. So I was confident that we could use it for our client's purpose. So I took the wheel home and I made a mock-up of the wheelchair frame so that I could attach it at home and play around with it. What you see there is a load of red gum blocks to the weight of Sophie when she is 3 years old. And I've attached it temporarily with a couple of hose clips to the freewheel. And I made a little ramp and took it up to one of my visits to Megan. And I asked Megan to reverse her wheelchair on one side only up the ramp to tilt it, because I was curious to see what would happen to that load on the freewheel. And as we reversed up the ramp, the wheelchair became quite unstable. And it was clear to Megan that there are limitations to where this device can be used with her baby on it. If it tilts sideways, you reach a point where the little wheels at the front of the wheelchair come back to ground. However, there's in Megan's case, a natural inclination to avoid that because she feels uncomfortable. So it was good for us to experiment with that and just see what the limitations were. I then asked Chris, that's Sophie's dad, if he would hold Sophie in the position that Megan wanted. And I took some measurements so that we could figure out how to fit the seat. That's my very simple bracket. It's adjustable. And where you see the 2 little eyelets on the end is where the seat attaches. And those eyelets are used then to help secure the seat in place. I was concerned about preventing the seat from toppling over, so I tried 4 different methods of stabilizing the frame. I tried, first of all, cabin hooks, but my concern was, one, that Sophie could pull the cabin hook up, and that would make it useless. But secondly, that having a metal rod there for Megan against her legs could create an injury. I tried carabiners and a flexible wire, but the same problem, it could injure the wheelchair user, and Megan may not be aware that she's got a problem. I tried bungee cords, the little orange cords at the bottom, but they were useless. And so these are luggage straps that'll take a load of 68 kilos, and they have a very simple click action to hold them in place. which requires adult strength to release. So I was confident that Sophie couldn't undo them. The next thing was to try the wheelchair with the luggage straps in place. And you can see young Sophie there at the age of about 9 months. And Chris is on standby, and I'm going to show you now a little video of what happened when Megan releases the clamp. Oh, what happened? Oh, where's the video? Where's the video? Go back. That's the link. Hope this works. Oh, you want me?
No, because you're only showing the bell.
I think you have to share the other screen, Tom.
So, stop sharing. Yeah, again.
Share again.
Yeah, just click screen. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. Sure.
Go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
If I can. Where's my volume?
What's the size? What if you put your wheel in the front? Okay, can you clamp it back up there? So this has accidentally happened in the supermarket. Is that possible or not? You have to go right round. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide. How do we get back?
Stop sharing again.
Stop sharing.
And then share again.
Share screen again. Oh, come on. Where's it gone? Yep.
Yeah.
This one.
This one I think you have to get.
Okay, so it was easier when I did this at home, obviously. So you saw there that, hopefully you saw it, Megan released the clamp action at the bottom, and the freewheel wobbled sideways, but because the front of the clamp held in place, it was impossible for it to topple over. And the two side straps kept Sophie upright. So I want to go to the next slide here, Tom, and it's not letting me. How can I do this? Oh, this is something else. During the transfer, Megan uses this U-shaped cushion, rests her elbows on it. So when she's taking Sophie shopping down at Mansfield, she has her wheelchair in the back of the car, which she can then get out and put herself in. In the back seat of the car is this cushion, as well as the bicycle seat and the freewheel attachment. So there's a little bit of work involved in putting it together, but none of it is too hard. And Megan assures me that she's used it quite a lot. So I'm going to go to the last slide, and I'll have to ask Tom's help again, because I want to show you the video of this the first time when we put it in action in their home. Stop sharing.
Yep.
Go back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
Turn the volume up.
Yeah, that deserves applause. Well done. Locked in, all locked in. How about a lap around the kitchen table? Okay. we go, here we go, here we go. What do you reckon, Sophie? Oh, you've got to turn your wheel in. You have to bang your wheel into something. That's it. There we go. Bye. Waving. What do you reckon? Is that good?
It's all a bit new. All right. Yeah. So the last thing of the project was to outline some guidelines for the use of the seat. And if anyone's interested, there's a copy of that on the web, or at least on the records at in Melbourne. But because there are safety issues, we needed to sign off on highlighting some of those issues. But the seat is designed for outdoors use. It's weatherproof. It's already approved for its safety components. So a lot of the safety issues were covered already. That's it. Any questions? No.
Bruce, thanks so much for that presentation. What a solution. Oh my gosh. How long did that take you from start to finish?
Because in this case, the client lived up in the country in Mount Buller. I had to make a few trips to do it. The actual working of it is probably only a few weeks, but going backwards and forwards and trialing things out, that took time. I think I delivered it November and probably started it in July.
Yeah, unreal. Thank you.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, what a great project. It's well done. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, the organisation decided, or at least this is my recollection, not to do cots. And I'm encouraged to see that because I was a bit uncomfortable with that blanket. We weren't touching it anymore.
And I'm the guilty party in that, because I was in the risk management committee at the time, and I did some research on cot safety, and there was an enormous number of injuries. I think it was over 400 injuries of kiddies falling out of cots. And so a standard was produced for cot safety that was quite strictly applied. And if you didn't have the Australian standard logo on your cot, you couldn't sell it. One of the issues was falling out, and the cot that we used to make in Melbourne had what they call barn door opening, which meant that you cut the one side in half and hinged it at the ends. But in opening up a barn door, the mother had to wheel backwards and create a gap that the child could fall through. With the sliding door project, Megan actually came to me with the concept, and she picked it up off the New South Wales website. It was on a picture in TAD New South Wales. So they clearly had made this design themselves, and by restricting the opening to no more than the width of a wheelchair, it meant there was very little chance for the child to escape. So I thought it was a great solution, but I asked one of the TAD New South Wales volunteers who'd made this design to be my peer reviewer. And he came up with some good ideas, particularly in relation to the 2 latches that held the gates in the locked position. So it was a joint effort between Victoria and New South Wales, and it worked well. So I'm pleased now we can go back to using an open door with cots, because it is very helpful.
Bruce, I've got a question about the child seat attachment. If you were doing a version 2, would there be anything that you weren't able to overcome with that design that you would be trying to resolve?
No.
any more restrictions? That's a good answer.
Yeah, no, I was very pleased with the outcome, and what tests I undertook satisfied me that it was safe. I've called Megan just recently when I started putting these slides together to get her permission to show the family on film, and she was happy for that. She said they've used it and used it well.
Yeah, great.